Protein seems to be the newest trend these days. I'm sure you guys agree. Everywhere you're looking, people are talking about getting in enough protein for muscle mass, for blood sugar balance, and so much more. I want to break down all protein confusion and how you really pick a protein that's going to work for you, whereas one that may not work that great for you. First of all, there are many different ways to get your protein in. And here's the good news, the majority of it should be coming from whole foods. Now, protein, many people think, well, do I need to sit around and eat a bunch of meat? Simply not true. Just to give you a frame of reference, a chicken breast, a full chicken breast, or even a full steak, actually has about 60 grams of protein in it. So you really only need about a third of that if you're eating meat as one of your protein sources throughout the day. So bottom line, we're often over-consuming protein when we're eating animal protein. We actually need less, but we do need some to keep those protein grams where they need to be. Now, let's say you don't tolerate meat, or who wants to eat meat 3 and 4 times a day? We need other sources of protein. So I even turn often to protein powders. It keeps me full, keeps my energy buzzing, and I feel great when I've started my day with a healthy amount of protein. I want to take a second today to talk to you about protein powders, maybe how to pick one that's right for you versus one that maybe just won't work so great for you. Now think about it for a second. When you go to the grocery store, right, you'll see all kinds of protein powders out there. I've picked a few here to really break down some of the differences, but one of the most common protein powders are going to be whey based. So whey protein, whey isolate is a lot of what our bodybuilders use, a lot of what people use when they're hitting the gym frequently. It's not a bad protein powder. Many people think I'm automatically against whey or against whey isolate. I'm not. Here's the issue. We meet so many patients every day in practice at Center Spring MD, and they actually have a dairy issue. They're dairy intolerant, or they have leaky gut, and that combination of either not tolerating dairy or having leaky gut makes whey isolate and whey proteins very difficult to digest. Now, if you're not sure you have leaky gut, check out some of my leaky gut videos right here. Now, if you do have leaky gut, you want to have both your whole foods and even your protein supplementation be of a source that's really easy to break down. If you're not dairy intolerant, you can break dairy down really well. You're interested in muscle growth and muscle metabolism, whey protein is a great option for you. Just make sure it's organic, that is sourced responsibly, and then it does actually work for you. But for the majority of patients that I get to meet and many people that I talk to, they can't digest dairy or they have leaky gut. Instead, then we turn to some alternative sources that include a pea protein, a rice protein, or even a hemp protein. Now, all of these are vegan and vegetarian in nature. So for folks that don't eat meat or have given meat up, it's a great option for them. Most of these, you have to read your label. So for example, looking at this particular pea protein product from Metagenics, most of them give you about 20 grams of protein per serving. That is a great average when you're looking at a protein label. You want at least 20 grams. You probably want more if you're a bodybuilder or really interested in beefing up muscle mass. You probably want less if you're not as interested in muscle mass, but you're more interested in blood sugar regulation or just staying full throughout the day. So 20 grams is a great average. Some protein powders have a little bit less, some have a little bit more. Decide on kind of where you need to land depending on what your particular goals are. Now let's talk about another protein source. So there's soy protein. Many people will go on soy. Same problem for anyone dairy intolerant. They have an issue with whey, but they also often have an issue with soy. There's about a 60% or so cross-reactivity between dairy and soy. So the same group that doesn't tolerate whey often won't tolerate soy either. The problem we have with soy, very manufactured, highly processed. Most soy nowadays is GMO, meaning it's genetically modified, so not the best option for many of us who are trying to do things in as gentle a way for the body as possible. If you're somebody that's got a lot of digestive issues, you've got bloating, you have maybe some reflux, picking a protein powder with a lot of junk in it is not going to work for you. You actually want to stay away from the artificial sweeteners, from maltodextrin, from things like monk fruit or stevia, because if any of these powders have too much of that, it's actually going to upset your stomach. In fact, one of the most common causes of bloating, which many folks don't realize, is simply artificial sweeteners. People are trying to replace sugar, right, with one of these sweeteners, thinking they're being healthier, but they find that their gut often doesn't tolerate it. Looking out for some of those ingredients is helpful as well. On the other hand, if you're taking in a protein powder because you're trying to stabilize blood sugar levels or insulin levels, or you already have prediabetes or diabetes, you want to make sure your label not only doesn't have too much artificial sweetener, but also doesn't have sugar. And that sugar is very upsetting to many folks and is making their blood sugar spike versus keeping it nice and even, which is really the purpose of taking in a protein powder. So lots of protein confusion. We have different types of protein powders, different goals. Think about what your first goal is. Muscle mass, go for whey or a whey protein isolate. Make sure it's organic and sourced well. It doesn't have a lot of junk in it. But if you're dairy intolerant, we got to push that one aside, and you have to move on to pea, rice, or hemp. If you're not interested in muscle growth and you're more interested maybe in blood sugar stability, pick a product with about 15 grams of protein on average, but watch the ingredients. Stay away from the fillers and the sweeteners. And if you have a lot of GI issues, again, watch for the preservatives. Things like maltodextrin are really upsetting to the belly. Trying to keep an eye on if you're getting a big load of that in your protein powder. Have fun with this stuff. Remember, you can mix it into smoothies, you can bake it, you can do all kinds of things with protein powders. If you want some ideas, check out some of my videos right here to give you ideas of how to use these protein powders more effectively. And don't forget, I post new YouTube videos every week. Don't forget to like and subscribe.